Ashley, and I just wanted to welcome you here to my channel. If you're new here, I make content to help encourage Christian singles. I just wanted to thank everyone who has chosen to follow me and who shares my content. It definitely helps get it out there, and so I appreciate you for being here, and I just pray that this video encourages you, and if it does, just please hit the like and subscribe button. That way you never miss any of my videos. So today I wanted to talk about this past year of my life. This week marks a year of singleness for me, and I just want to share like some things that God has taught me and some things that I want to share with you in hopes to encourage you if you have been in a long season of waiting or a long season of just prayer for a future spouse. When I say I've been in a year of singleness, what I really want to convey is it's been very intentional. It's been just really focused on waiting on God. I was in a fairly serious relationship before last year, and I just really put so much hope and so much just of myself into that person that when the relationship ended, I really had to reevaluate myself and reevaluate trusting someone and believing that God had someone for me. And it was just a lot of emotions that I processed through during that time, and just reevaluating what it is that I want in a potential spouse. And I didn't want to just enter back into dating just to date. And I definitely had some guys trying to date me and reaching out to me, and it wasn't that I was against dating. I just wanted to be very intentional about it and very upfront with what my standards were and what it was that I was looking for. And it just, no one really hit that for me. And so I just really decided just to stay single. And I've had some really like good times and hard times within this past year, and I just wanted to share really some of the things that God has led me through in hopes to encourage you. I think one of the first things I want to share is the importance of godly community. I really struggled in the relationship that I had with creating godly community, and I would try to facilitate that a lot, but I was mainly the one trying to create that for our relationship. And I just believe that the person that God has for me is going to be one who wants to facilitate godly community, who is going to want to not only pour into others, but also have others pour into them. And so this past year, one thing that I've been really focused on is pouring into others, mentoring, discipling, but also to be mentored. And I found a mentor, someone who could just pour and feed into me, and I believe that's really helped me a lot to just evaluate where I am spiritually and to grow in relationship with the Lord, and also just to have like a sounding board for just things that I'm going through, whether it's work related or spiritual, or as I'm pouring into others, someone to pour into me as well. And I know that sometimes when you're walking in singleness and you're feeling alone and isolated, it can be hard to feel like you can pour into another person. And I want to encourage you to pray about that and ask God to give you insight into that, because we should never be doing things out of a heart of just feeling condemnation or out of pain. You know, it needs to be out of a healthy place that we're serving the Lord in. So I don't want to like pressure you into that, but I ask that you would pray about it and ask God to like heal your heart and to walk you through what it looks like to disciple others, and also what it looks like to be mentored. I feel like that was a really pivotal growth point for me this past year. And the other thing is to be intentional about placing yourself where you may meet a future spouse. I can't tell you how many times I meet people who are waiting for their future spouse, but really all they do is go to work and go home and maybe go to the gym if you're a gym person, but they are not going out to potential places to meet another single. And that is one thing, especially this past summer, that I have just really put both feet in the water and just going places by myself rather than waiting for someone to call me or waiting for someone to invite me to go do something. Just making the choice to go and do it, whether I have people going with me or not. And kind of a light bulb clicked for me, because I would always cancel plans if I couldn't find friends who wanted to go and do something with me, because I thought it would be weird if I was going by myself. But I was listening to this video where this girl was saying that a lot of times guys are intimidated by a girl who is with a group of other girls, like to approach her. And she was saying when she started going to things by herself, that she noticed that guys would come to approach her more easily. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. I've not done that my entire life. So just putting yourself in a place where, you know, you could potentially meet your future spouse. That goes for guys too. I'm just sharing from a woman's perspective. Also, one thing that I struggled with, and I've shared it a lot in my other videos, is this past year just believing that God has a spouse for me. Just after my last breakup, it was really hard for me after that just to believe that there was a man out there who was honest. It was hard for me to believe that there was going to be a man who wanted to provide for me and protect me and to prioritize me. And I had to give that fear over to the Lord, which, if you look at that scripturally, it says perfect love casts out fear. God's love for us is so beautiful, and the desire for a spouse is a biblical desire. You know, I think sometimes you can feel shamed by the enemy or shamed by others that you desiring a spouse is somehow wrong. And I want to like speak some truth into you that you desiring a spouse is a biblical desire, and it's a holy desire, and it's a good desire. So with that, a prayer that I want to encourage you, that I've, you know, been praying this past year, is for your future spouse. Don't give up just because you've been hurt. Don't give up just because it's been a really long season. And allow people into that hope. I have shared a lot with trusted people that I believe that my future spouse is coming, that I believe God is preparing him. And I just invite others to pray that hope with me so that they can celebrate when that day comes. It's just not me. It's me inviting people into this battle for my future spouse. And part of that, it's like kind of a two-part thing. The other thing that I believe the enemy wants to do is steal your hope as a single, especially if you've been in a season of singleness for a long time. I know, like, I've just had my year of singleness. Some have been 10, some have been 15 years. So if you've been intentionally staying single and it's been a really long season, I know the enemy is trying to steal your hope. He's trying to steal the promises that have been spoken over you about your future spouse. He's trying to steal your courage. He's trying to steal your obedience over praying and waiting as you see others receiving what you've been praying for. It can be extremely challenging to remain hope-filled. And I just want to let you know that God sees you in this season of long suffering. He sees you in this season where you are remaining faithful to Him. And I want to let you know God sees you. He sees you. I'm going to say it again. He sees you. I just want you to rest in that. I want you to know that even though the circumstances may look bleak and it may feel that everyone has passed you by, it may feel like nobody has seen you, it may feel like nobody has fought for you or understood you or protected you or, prioritized you. But just because you've never seen it does not mean it doesn't exist. And one thing that I've, battled throughout my single life is just that God created me. And He's created me with my passions. He's created me with my desires. He's created me with the convictions that I have. And so if He's created me, and that He wants us to be fruitful and multiply, He wants us to, find that spouse that is going to help us glorify Him and to build the kingdom, then I have to believe that He has created someone for me and someone who can lead me and complement me. And if I believe that God is the creator and that He has created all things, then I can trust that He has created someone for me. And that is really hard sometimes to walk in that faith, but I just want to encourage you to lay that at the feet of Jesus and to understand that He loves you so much. I think another thing with just dealing with so much rejection as a single, you can begin to believe this lie that says you will never be loved. You can believe this lie that says no one will ever cherish you or appreciate you, and it's just not true. It's a lie. And that's something that you as a single have to battle against. And I think a way to battle against that is to be in the Word of the Lord and to fill yourself with who God says that you are. It's also important to have godly community around you. I minister to a lot of singles, and I think one of the most dangerous things you can do as a single is isolate yourself, because in that isolation is where the enemy can lie to you. He can feed you just with so much depression and sadness and sorrow that you don't even know how to pull yourself out of it. And so I just want to encourage you that if you have been one that tends to self-isolate, to pray that God would help you through that. And I would encourage you to reach out to someone who you know is faithful, who you know will pray for you, and be intentional about pursuing relationships. So that would be just like a whole side tangent of things. Another thing that I've talked about in a few of my videos is a pet peeve of mine. I think I'm gonna write a book on this topic. I've talked about it so much, but I think it's just important to address. There's so many believers who just talk about allowing Jesus to be their husband and going on like Jesus dates or whatever. And if that has helped you, I'm not saying I'm against this, but I think it's kind of like an unhealthy condemnation that you can carry as a single, because when you start talking like that, like Jesus is my husband, like, it's just him and I, you can kind of like be judged then at that point when you tell someone that you're looking for a husband or you're looking for a future spouse. And I think they can kind of come back at you and say, oh, well, I thought Jesus was your husband, or I thought, like he was the only one for you. And it's kind of weird because you never hear guys talking about that. It's very specific to women, which I think, and that is just like all weird. I'm not saying like don't pursue Christ and have him as your number one. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying be real with what you want. I don't think God gets any glory from us hiding our true desire and our true intention. And if you are wanting a husband, I think it's okay to say, I'm desiring a future husband. I love the Lord. I know that he's going before me. And he is Lord of my life, but he's not my husband. Like, there's a role as a husband that God has placed beautifully to reflect the church. And I just think it's kind of weird when Christians go into that side of it, because it's not, I don't know, it's not really what you're saying. It's not really what your heart's desire is. You really truly desire a husband. And I think there's some type of shame that has come over Christians that if you don't say that Jesus is my husband, somehow you're not holy enough, because you're not waiting on God perfectly, or you're not putting this right face on your singleness. And it's really so messed up to me. I hate it. I want you to be real. Like, Christianity is real and your testimony is real. And so to be real with your heart's desire and to not walk in like this secret shame of you wanting and desiring a future spouse. You shouldn't be shamed for that. You shouldn't feel bad for that. You shouldn't be just feeling like you can't voice what your heart's desire is, because it's a good desire. It's a beautiful desire. And I think the enemy has somehow corrupted that and somehow used the church to shame singles for having that desire. And I want to break it. I want to break that. I want to give you permission to tell people that that's your heart's desire. I want to give you permission to walk in confidence that God is going before you in that, to walk in confidence that he is the good gift giver, and to walk in confidence for powerful prayer over your future spouse, to be someone who walks into a room of hopeless singles and that you can turn that whole room around because you have enough faith to say, my God is going before me. My God is leading the way, and I trust that he is. And that's really probably the biggest thing that I've learned this past year, is saying no to things because I trust that God is going before me. I trust that his ways are higher than mine. And as I submit my way to him and I submit my hope to him, that I can trust him. And I see the picture of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That's how I pronounce the names. I'm sure it's wrong. The way that they trusted God is how I want to trust God for my future spouse. They said, whether we get to live or we die, we will not bow to your false god. And I think as a single, the way you can apply that is, I'm not going to follow the way that the world says I should date. I'm not going to sleep with someone before marriage. I'm not going to live with that person. I'm not going to entertain pornography. I'm going to set myself up in holiness, and I'm going to wait for what God has for me. even if it means that I'm suffering for a long time, even if it means that I have to take on a second job because I'm living by myself, or a third job. I see so many singles using that as an excuse to live with someone because they can't afford to live by themselves. But God will provide a way. You will just have to die to yourself. You'll have to work harder, you know. It's so crazy to me how quickly a Christian will fall because of logic. You know, I think we have to be people who walk by faith. It wasn't logical to be thrown in the furnace. Following God sometimes takes a leap of faith of suffering, and that's what these three men were willing to do. They were willing to suffer for God in order that he would gain the glory through that. And that's what it's about. It's trusting that God is going before you, and even if I never get my husband, I'm still gonna walk in faith. I'm still, just because I may never receive that, that doesn't mean that I give up. That doesn't mean that I give up on God's faithfulness. That doesn't mean that I give up on my hope. I'm walking in hope. I'm walking in faithfulness. I'm walking in the courage of the Holy Spirit because I have surrendered my will and my life to God. And it's not out of like a self-proclaimed glory, or, you know, for my own tooting of the horn or whatever. It's truly a heart condition that says, God, even in everything that I see others receiving, I want to bring glory to you, and help me to walk in humility. Help me to be one who, you know, praises other people's wins and who grows other people around me. And I just wanted to share those reflections. I wanted to share those thoughts because those are things that I've grown in this past year. And I pray that as I have shared those, that you could walk in those, that you could gain some courage, that you could gain some confidence, that you would pray some bold prayers for your future spouse and believe that God's bringing them. So I just pray that your day is blessed. And I really thank you for watching. If this video blessed you, I pray that you hit the like button and that you subscribe, and maybe share this with someone who you know is struggling. So I just pray your day is blessed. Bye.